everybody. I am back talking about another comparison between an original UK program versus the United States revamp of it. And for this one, I'm talking about the movie What We Do in the Shadows versus the American sitcom What We Do in the Shadows. And let's just get into it. I should be working right now, but la 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 blah blah blah. Let's go. Bear with me because I do have some notes and I will be looking away from the camera to refresh my memory. So, What We Do in the Shadows was a movie that came out in 2014, and it stars Jermaine Clement, Taika Waititi, and Johnny Bra. It was directed by Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi. There we go. Okay. I am breaking up my commentary in 3 parts so it's a little bit easier to follow and understand. And if you would like to comment on any specific area, you know where to look and what to comment on easier. So, what are the similarities? What are the differences? Is one better? Why? Those are the 3 parts. So let's get started first with what the similarities are. Before we get into it, I did want to mention that I am only comparing the movie and the very first season of What We Do in the Shadows. I know that there are currently 4 seasons, and if you have not watched them all, I recommend watching them all because I am in the middle of the 4th season right now, and it is just, what are the similarities? Let's get into it. Right away when the movie opens up, the juxtaposition of old vampire with an alarm clock ringing is just so hilarious. Like, you're thinking of an old vampire. Like, you're thinking, okay, vampire, this is New Zealand. Okay. We're going to see something, like some coffins, some, spider webs, something cool and gothic and European. But no, we see the main character wake up in his flat. He's a vampire and there is an alarm clock blaring, and it's just so hilarious to watch. It is honestly one of the best opening scenes for a horror comedy, in my opinion. Like I said, the movie, that opening scene is really cool. It starts off with the main character, one of the main characters, Viago, who gives off like Louis vampire energy from the Vampire Chronicles to me. But if he was like a dweeb, that's the energy I get. He's played by Taika Waititi. And the next main character is Peter. He's very creepy looking to me. He's sort of like a Nosferatu type. That's the vibe I get from him. Spoilers! Peter dies from a freak sunlight accident. Deacon. He is the irresponsible bad boy. Quote, vampires don't do dishes, end quote. And, facts. But in this modern world, you guys need to get like a dishwasher or something. Then we have Vladislav. He is the older medieval vampire, a bit of a pervert, In his words, he is 862 years old. And also in his words, he was known for torturing people. And he was known as Vladislav the Poker. There is flat tension, lots of random dick stroking. Some of the similarities between the movie and the show. that I would like to point out is, there's still lots of hissing, that type of thing. Lots of rising into the air, vampire, dick stroking type of thing. That was still very much present in both film and movie. There is a familiar in both the film and the movie. The difference is the familiar in the movie, her name is Jackie. She, does everything that a familiar does. She does everything that Guillermo does in the show. And they both have a deal. So the deal that Jackie has with her vampire Deacon is that she will serve him and he will give her eternal life, But it's been 4 years and 4.5 years, and she's still been just sort of serving him and not getting her eternal life, much like the character Guillermo, who has been serving his vampire for a decade. And it's just, we also have in the movie a newbie. His name is Nick. He's like the modern guy. Peter turned him. Of course, Peter turned him. He's like the turner of the group. Stu is Nick's computer friend. He is off limits for the vampires to eat. I actually feel like Stu was the inspiration for Colin in the show. Like, that's just my theory. Let me know if you feel the same way. Like, if you get like a Colin vibe from Stu. Stu was hilarious. I loved Stu. One of my favorite characters, which is probably why I love Colin so much. One of my favorite characters. These also are the creepy werewolves. They were in the movie just like they were in the show. The movie is delightfully awkward. Just like the show is. Delightfully awkward. Hilariously awkward, actually. No. The movie is delightfully awkward. The show is hilariously awkward. With a little bit of delight thrown in there. So now we're going to move on to the US show, which premiered on FX in 2019. It stars Matt Berry, Kayvon Novak, Natasha Demetriou, Harvey Gillen, and Mark Proxt. Look, I don't have time to learn how to pronounce their names right now. Sorry, guys. Just insert the correct pronunciation of their names in your mind. Thank you. I would like to note that the US show is produced by Taika Waititi. So like that common thing is still there. Like the person who was in the original one, who directed the original movie, is a producer for the US version of the show. I did want to mention that. My favorite, one of my favorites. He opens the scene and, he's the familiar. He's waking up his master. And, I wrote down one of his quotes, which is, being a vampire's familiar is like being a best friend who's also a slave. So yeah, the documentary for the first season is mainly in Guillermo's point of view. And his master is Nandor the Relentless. Because he never relents. Because I never relent. What are the differences? Let's get into it. Right away, one of the differences you notice on the show is that there is a female character, and her name is Nadja, and she is a bad bitch. So Nadja brings a lot to the cast, I felt like something was missing in the movie only after I watched the show and realized Nadja brings a lot of energy and just feminine, crazy colorfulness to the show. And common sense. common vampire nausea sense to the show. That was missing in the movie. But, you know, the movie was like a bro event. It's cool. The show it could be a little bro-y, but it's not. And, okay, I love her. We all love her. Okay. We stand nausea on this page here. Okay. We stand the vampire nausea in What We Do in the Shadows. There is the Baron who gives off Peter vibes, you know. He's going to visit soon. And basically the first episode opens up similar to how the first scenes of the movie opens up. You know, there's a tension between all the roommates, and Nandor, who is the main character, is going to read out a letter that he has received. And that letter is essentially stating that the Baron is coming to visit. And the Baron is like this really, really old, creepy looking, gross vampire. And he gives off very much Peter vibes. So we also have, as a difference between the movie and the show, we have Colin Robinson, who is also a main character and a roommate of the vampires. And he is an energy vampire, which I thought was really funny and interesting that they did different. He feeds in offices, you know, in the US. He feeds he's a day walker, basically. He walks in the day, he can walk in the night, he can eat human food, and he feeds off of people's emotion. He gets them really upset and annoyed, and that's how he feeds. He can also feed and drain vampires, like blood drinking vampires. And aside from him, we have Laszlo. He has a vulva garden, you know, it features his mother and his sister's vulva. They're his favorite vulvas. And he's very much similar to the character of Vladislav the Boca. So yeah, we have Laszlo, we have Colin, we have Naja, and we have Nandor, the Relentless, and Guillermo. Those make up the main characters of the show. So the main crew moved from Europe to Staten Island to take over. They really kind of failed. One of the really cool things in the show that was not in the movie is like they turn themselves into a bat by saying bat. You know, it's really funny. And it's really cool. Like the mechanics of them turning into a bat just by saying bat, definitely like hilarious. The movie has better werewolf CGI effects than the show, but I don't think it takes away from the show being funny that they don't have good CGI effects for the werewolf. I think it makes the show better in terms of that. One of the differences that I can definitely say in the movie and the show is that the vampires in the movie, What We Do in the Shadow, they looked like slimy and like they were actually dead, you know, like they had that like death pallor to them. And yeah, it's just it made them look sickly, you know, like they were sickly. And I guess that's a good look for a vampire, you know, like you need blood, you're like sickly looking. The vampires in What We Do in the Shadow, they do not look sickly. Honey, their faces are beat, okay? Naja's lipstick is on point, her eyes are on point, her face is beat. You know, they have like a character to them. They don't exactly look like they have that sick death pallor. So that's one of the differences I noticed right away. I don't want to give too much away, in fact, especially if this is your first time hearing about What We Do in the Shadows, the show. I don't want to give too much away because it's super funny. Please watch it. It's hilarious. The cast of the movie, though, do make an appearance in the first season of the show. And full disclosure, I watched the show first, and then I found out there was a movie. So after I watched the show, I watched the movie, and I was like, okay, cool, this is funny. And then I watched the first season again, especially to do a video like this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the movie characters are in the show. Like, it's funny. You really need to watch it. Also, Machete makes an appearance because, you know, Machete. And in fact, they have a lot of pop culture vampires that show up in the first season in a very, very specific episode. So just watch it. Watch it and then come back to this video right here and comment. So this concludes my video commentary. Let me know what you think of the movie, what you think of the show. Which is better in your opinion? Do you like my commentary? Is there something that I missed? Please let me know in the comments below. And if you've watched my video earlier, this is a repost because I didn't include pictures, so I appreciate you watching again. And stay tuned because all throughout October, I will be posting a video every day talking about a horror show or movie that I have recently watched. And I will be looking for your comments and reviews right along with me. Thank you. So this concludes the video. Let me know what you think. I'm not like those other cats. I'm a cool cat.